information I would like to share to all my fellow eaters that MSG is not so bad. And it actually started out with a simple letter. A simple letter from a man sent to New England Journal of Medicine saying that after eating some Chinese food that he started having some allergic reaction or some sort, that he had like the rash in his face and something sort of high on his joints and some pain and headache. From that point, this man, Robert Ho-Man Kwok, coined the term Chinese syndrome, Chinese restaurant syndrome, which he assumed that it's caused of consuming MSG. From that point on, MSG actually gained some notoriety, saying everybody think that MSG causes certain symptoms when you consume them a little too much. And there are people who actually tell you that they don't like MSG for that particular reason. Before I actually delve into the MSG, I'd like to talk about little facts about MSG in structure. MSG is an abbreviation for monosodium glutamate. So the monosodium is just one sodium, which is a part of a salt, and glutamate is a complex molecule. The sodium part, if you consume it too much, you have high blood pressure. Glutamate, what is this one? So I looked what glutamate is. It's interesting enough that glutamate, the same version that we can consume from MSG, is highly present in tomatoes, soy sauce, and yeast extract. And it's highly abundant in seaweeds, actually. And what it does is it enhances flavor of food, whatever that flavor that is, particularly in meat flavors. So that's why MSG is used to enhance flavor. Interesting fact that is, if you use copious amounts of MSG, it actually enhances the flavor with 30% less salt. I mentioned earlier that the MSG is half salt, half glutamate. Because glutamate is a complex molecule, it's non-lethal, which means you have to eat twice as much MSG compared to table salt to kill yourself. 10 grams per kilogram for table salt versus 18 grams per kilogram body mass per MSG. So in chemistry way, MSG is not so bad. And it also enhances flavor and reduces salt uptake because you don't need that much salt to have the same level or better flavoring. But there's still that syndrome where you have headache, that rash, and all those medical terms that Robert wrote in 1968. Almost 30 years later, a group of scientists actually performed a double-blind experiment. What does that mean? Is that they give out samples to their patients group, not knowing which pill they give to them, and they just randomly do experiments, and they're hoping to see some sort of trend from the patient group. So the doctors don't know what kind of pill they gave to their patients, and patients don't know what kind of pill they were given. So it makes it is supposed to create a fair type of experiment because there's no expectations of what the outcome is. And Professor Kelly, who performed the experiments in 1993 on 71 healthy people, and they gave them about 3 grams of MSG per day for 5 years, and they performed any health or responses that they claimed, because some people in that 71 people group mentioned that they are sensitive to MSG consumption. So if that is true, if the person did consume MSG, then we should have some sort of allergic reaction. Turns out, both those who took placebo, just the water pill, versus the MSG pill, had no response to the pills they were taking. About 85% that was out said that there is no scientific evidence that MSG causes all these symptoms because on their double-blind experiment, both of them had equal chance of showing these symptoms, and maybe it's caused by something else instead. Coming back to late night fall food consumption with my colleagues, I told them this whole story in a way longer version with not more numbers and dull facts. My friend drank up the whole ball of fall, drank it down. I got my MSG fix. Do you have your MSG fix? Or does this actually make you think about whether consuming MSG is something that we should not be doing just because somebody told you it's bad? Next time when you write a letter to a journal of medicine or somewhere,